Good evening and welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting today, Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021 at 5:32 p.m. May I please have a roll call?
Mayor Stephen B. Grant,
Present.
Vice Mayor Woodrow L. Hay, is present. Commissioner Justin Katz.
Present. Okay.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Christina Romulus.
Present.
Commissioner Typin Serga is absent. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for invocation by Pastor Bob Bender of Christ Fellowship, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity we have to be a part of amazing things that are going on in our community. We pray your blessing on Boynton Beach. We pray your blessing on this meeting. We pray your blessing on all of the commissioners, on all of the city staff that help bring this meeting together, and that there would be wisdom and discernment as we proceed, as we wade through many different opportunities and things to be thinking on, that you would give us wisdom and discernment to do so. And we pray, God, that you would have it that our community is marked by peace, that it is marked by love, and that it is defined by your protection and your strength. We pray physical healing for those that are afflicted by any illness right now. And we pray your protection. And we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda approval. I believe there is a walk-on to discuss having a closed-door session. I'd like to put that under legal.
Mayor, did you want to add the MLK announcement?
Yes.
Our thank you to
Mayor?
Chris Phillips.
Hold on one second, Vice Mayor.
Mayor,
Yes, Vice Mayor, you're recognized.
I would like to add, yes, thank you. I would like to have a walk-on to put the remainders of my discretionary funding to the Boynton Bulldogs for the next meeting. Whatever that
Okay.
amount is.
All right.
That's it.
All right. And then the other thing that I also wanted to mention is have a discussion, whether it's this meeting or next meeting, regarding what we did 2 years ago and had the Parks and Recs bus do a tailgate at FAU home game.
Yes, Mayor, I'm talking with Casey regarding, they're working on plans and are nearly solidified to do the Miami Dolphins the next day. So I just want to make sure we have the resources. Yeah, they were doing that as a big recreation program, but I know Casey was still finalizing.
Okay.
So we just want to chat with you about that, see what we can pull them both off. We'll try.
Okay, so you're saying on 10/3 there's a Miami Dolphins game?
I think so, 1 o'clock, and they were doing a big, the bus was open to the public and tickets and the whole thing.
Okay.
But they're still finalizing plans.
All right. So hopefully we'll get that answer at next meeting.
Yeah. I'll have it sooner for you.
Okay. And I think that's it. So may I have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved as amended.
Second.
We have a first and second. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to informational items by members of the City Commission. Commissioner Katz, would you like to begin?
None at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Romulus.
Mayor, I also have nothing to disclose. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Hay.
I'd like to say how well organized the Feeding of America was on Saturday morning again. I did go to the Boynton Beach football game, but I got rained out and I didn't want to get wet. But other than that's it. No other disclosures.
All right. Thank you. As for myself, on July 22nd, I had a meeting with the Luau Corporation to see if they could use the amphitheater. Went to the Palm Trans Service Board and had a meeting with Unified Dreamers. On July 23rd, I met with Representative Frankel's office, discussed many issues. I sent that list to the city manager in case the commission wanted to see the discussion. Afterwards, I met with the ambassador of Bangladesh, Mr. Islam. On the 28th, I was up in Boston and met with their Parks and Recs director and got a lot of information about how Boston helps the disenfranchised community and the different resources that they have. And so hopefully I can get a presentation to the commission about what our neighbors to the north are doing. On July 30th, I attended their children's museum. It was a great museum, and hopefully we can incorporate some of the things that they have in our own. And then today I met with David Cruz from the Florida League of Cities to help solidify the Florida League of Cities economic development and land use policy statement on economic development funding. If there is no further
Mayor?
information. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I do want to disclose that I did attend the League of Cities for Palm Beach County this past week.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Mr. Vice Mayor. And I also wanted to mention, I wasn't there, but we want to thank Christ Fellowship for the lunch on July 29th for all the employees. I heard they had meatball subs, chicken pesto. It was delicious and truly appreciated by all the people here in Boynton Beach. And seeing no further information, we will move on to announcements. Our first announcement is from Jody Boisvert with the Palm Beach County Community Services Department. Will give a presentation on the county's economic mobility report. So we got James Green.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to share this information with you this evening. My name is James Green. I am the Director for the Palm Beach County Community Services Department. And Jody is our Securing Our Future Economic Mobility Program Evaluator. And we're extremely pleased to be able to present this information to you tonight to share some of the work that is happening around the county to address child poverty and to create more opportunities for families to earn more here. So if you want to advance the slide, I'll begin by just talking a little bit about some of the data points. One of the things that we wanted to do was to highlight the overall county's poverty rate and to show you a comparison to how the city of Boynton Beach kind of fares. And when you look at this data, what I want you to know is that when we set out to address child poverty in Palm Beach County, there were a number of areas that we specifically wanted to focus on because we understood the challenges with child poverty, and we saw that they were more prevalent in these particular areas. And Boynton Beach was indeed an area that had quite a few kids living below 100% of the federal poverty level, which is not a whole lot. And as a result of that, the Community Services Department, along with a number of community partners, came together to figure out a systemic way of addressing poverty. And so that is primarily what I'll be sharing with you today. So if you want to go to the next slide. So these are some of the entities who are involved. The Citizens Advisory Committee on Health and Human Services is a group that's instituted by the Board of County Commissioners. They are institutional leaders in just about every health and human services domain that you can think of, from housing to employment to transportation, food, health and wellness, education, justice, childcare. And they basically come together to make sure that the Health and Human Services system of care is operating effectively within various domains and across domains. We understand that housing is a lever to improve outcomes for health. It helps to maintain employment. It serves as a way to make sure that people can continue to eat and to maintain transportation. And these things are interdependent. And so the CAC is there to continue to look at that from 30,000 feet and to make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners to address any gaps in the system. And we fund 125 different programs and nonprofits throughout the county. And oftentimes it's a result of an assessment that has identified a gap within the system of care. And the CAC will make those recommendations to the board to fund them. Birth to 22, many of you are familiar with that. It's another system of care, but it's primarily focused on youth ages 0 to 22. And so we have brought those two entities together to begin to look at child poverty in Palm Beach County. So if you want to move on to the next slide. That's kind of the governance structure. It shows how the Citizens Advisory Committee and the Birth to 22 Alliance kind of works together, and there are subgroups that work, and Community Action Agency is kind of the backbone entity that's pulling all of the data from the work that we'll describe to you with the families that we're serving, to the agencies that are participating, and making sure that we're reporting to those steering committees, if you will, on the progress that we're making on this initiative. Next slide. So this opportunity ecosystem gives you a visual of the Health and Human Services system of care. And what's significant about this is in each of those domains, there are organizations that are serving as a backbone agency. And those backbone organizations are responsible for looking across the entire county, looking at who's providing services, what services they're providing, where the gaps are within the system of care, and working across those domains to ensure that people have adequate health and human services supports in order to move up in terms of earning more income and becoming more stable. And so we meet every month and make sure that we are assessing each of those domains and the broader assessments. And if you go to securingourfuturepbc.org, what's important to note is that you'll be able to access in one location an economic mobility report that has countywide comprehensive planning in housing and homelessness, in employment and training and transportation and hunger and all of those different domains. You can hyperlink, there's a hyperlink so that you can see all of the agencies that are involved with the planning. You can see what the recommendations are, where the gaps are, because it's broken out into racial demographics and others. So it's just a one-stop shop for you to know what's going on here in Palm Beach County and what organizations and coalitions and groups are involved in that space. And of course, there's data about Boynton Beach, because it's one of the areas that we're looking to hone in on as we address this issue. Next slide. So we identified back in 2017, there were around 60,000 kids who were living at or below the federal poverty level. And in a county where we have 44 billionaires and 71,000 millionaire households, we have 60,000 kids who are living below the federal poverty threshold, which is unacceptable. And so the goal was to just reduce that by 10% over the next 10 years. And that would require working with 600 individuals per year, which equates to about 188 families per year, moving them above the federal threshold, eventually across to the living wage, which we equate to the ALICE. If you're familiar with the ALICE report, that living wage. And so the idea is to keep them above that living wage for 2 years. If you're not familiar with the ALICE report, It is a very, very comprehensive report that discusses the living wage. It breaks down Boynton Beach's data. It breaks down data across the entire county. And it just basically lays out what it costs to live in Palm Beach County and in those specific areas. And that is the barometer that we're using to move these families above the federal poverty threshold to that living wage. Next slide. Just a couple more slides here and then we'll be done. So our goal is, as I mentioned, is to move those families out of poverty over the next 10 years. So 600 individuals per year. Next slide. And we really wanted to not just work with families, but work and focus on the system, making sure that our health and human services partners are working together and more effectively, addressing issues like the fiscal benefits cliff, where if families earn a marginal increase, they lose support benefits like childcare and food and housing and healthcare. So we wanted to figure out how we, within Palm Beach County, how these partners that are involved can begin to leverage local funding and look at opportunities for us to address those barriers that would prevent families from earning more and moving out of poverty. Next slide. And so the approach is really to focus on people, partnerships, and policy. And we want to make sure that we're keeping people at the center of what we do, that we understand that the people closest to the problems are often closest to the solution. And so we go to the people and try to empower them to make decisions and to let us know and inform us about what's going on. Partnerships is all about collaborations and building social capital and networks. And policy is really focusing on those systemic issues and barriers that keep people in poverty. So we're going to move through these next slides relatively quickly, right? So I just talked about keeping people at the center is more than just offering them housing or transportation. We're also talking about social capital, spiritual support, helping them with professional development opportunities and things of that nature. We understand that it's going to be a comprehensive approach to really creating opportunities for our families. Next slide. And with partnerships, this is extremely important because if agencies and organizations are not talking to each other, then we're missing opportunities to work more collaboratively together and to give these families the opportunity and the support to earn more and to move out of poverty. And so with our partnerships, we're really honing into how can we plug people into opportunities. The Business Development Board has a youth summit every year where they're bringing employers in and they're making sure that they have opportunities to interview and to learn about certain careers. You have municipalities that are hiring internships, and we want to plug these families that we're working with into those. County government, the school district, different nonprofits. Anytime there's an opportunity to help individuals who normally wouldn't be connected to these structures get employment skills or trainings or internships, we want to make sure that we're intentional about giving those opportunities to these families and making sure that employers who want to participate in this initiative can tap into these families and say, hey, I want to help. I have some jobs here available. Let me know which families would be good and qualified for some of these employment opportunities, and we're going to work with them. And so CareerSource is a key partner in this initiative. Every family that's enrolled is a part of Employ Florida, their database. So we know what their skills are. We know, what their strengths are, and they can plug these families into those opportunities when they arise. Next slide. And in terms of policy, we talked about that before. It's not about us just coming up with a list of policies that are systemic or barriers to them earning more. It's really about listening to them. And so we host a number of focus groups. We're getting information from these families about what the barriers are for you accessing services or earning more. And we're taking that information, coding it, aligning it with local, state, and federal policies, and developing a prioritized policy agenda so that we can share with our local, state, and federal legislators what these families are saying are barriers for them, and they can begin to use those recommendations to hopefully create an environment where they can earn more and become more financially self-sufficient. And so policy is extremely important when it comes to creating an environment where economic mobility is possible. And we certainly want to listen to our families to learn more about what those barriers are. I think last slide. So, you know, we're working, this was the first year. So the second year, we're in that year right now, and we will eventually end it on September the 30th. But our first year, obviously, COVID came into play, and so there were some challenges. But these are the families we served, and these are the families that earn more. So if you go to the next slide, it kind of gives you a trajectory of the families and where they started in terms of their household income and where those families ended at the previous year. And then the next slide. It also gives you the average income for each of the families and where they were when they started and where they were when they ended. And there are a number of different programs that are focusing on providing supports to these families. The organization in Boynton Beach is called Pathways to Prosperity. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with them and their Circles program, where they're bringing social capital in to support those families as they move out of poverty. They've been great partners with us from the very beginning, and they do great work. And we're so proud to have them as a partner serving our residents of Palm Beach, of Boynton Beach. Next slide. And so that is just the website. You know, there's a lot of information about this initiative that I did not share. But if you want to go on and look at videos and look at different webinars that we've hosted, look at various documents that show you the progress that we've made. You can go to securingourfuturepbc.org. It's all there. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Really appreciate you coming here and giving us this information. It's something that, you know, as the mayor, you see people who are, you know, ask for help, and sometimes we don't necessarily know where to direct them. You know, the main thing that I have is that, you know, we have a lot of retirement communities here in Boynton Beach. And so is there a special program for people that were 55 and older, thought they were retired, and now need a supplementary income? Is there something going on with that so that we're finding job opportunities available for 55 and older?
So yeah, this program focuses on kids, but obviously if there are older individuals, they are able to participate in trainings offered by Community Action. There's one orientation coming up on August the 10th. I'll make sure that you have that flyer, Mayor, where if they want to learn anything from the healthcare industry, CNA, HHA, phlebotomy, EKG, patient care technician, they can participate in those trainings and get skills. And we have vendors to help place them in employment opportunities. And for most males like to participate in trainings like security, like forklift, CDL, those types of things. August 10th is the orientation for that. And we, after their training, the schools that we work with, along with CareerSource, help to place them in employment opportunities. So that is available for our older residents.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, hopefully we get that so we can advertise that, because a lot of people who lost their jobs and are looking for something to hold them off so that they can find a career path that they had in the past, it may be more difficult. So it's understanding that this is, you know, the aspect that makes our society and economy run, is that everybody has to drive our goods from one location to another. Someone has to put those goods into a forklift. Someone has to make sure that everyone, you know, that we're all healthy. And so I appreciate you coming here and informing us a little bit more about the community services. You know, you had an opportunity to see the new city hall, and you know, we'll have to show you the Arts and Cultural Center. And so I want to make sure that we have the partnership with the community services of Palm Beach County, that anybody who comes here into our library, we can direct them to you. And so I know that it's not necessarily like Career Source where there's someone that you can send here, but I look forward to partnering with your organization and seeing what synergies we can create.
Well, we can definitely bring a representative here as we look at processing emergency rental assistance and eviction prevention services. So we have some staff that we can move around if you have residents that are in need, which we know you do.
Yep.
So I look forward to, discussing that with you more. We're happy to partner with you.
So I think, Lori, if you have a response.
First of all, it's nice to meet you because we've talked on the phone and we've
yeah.
emailed often, and I actually have a face to the name. If you have a business card on you, James.
I do.
David, if you could hand that to David on your way, because we want to set up a meeting with you and sit down and kind of talk through all this, because getting the word out is what we struggle with the most in terms of really reaching deep into the communities that need some of these services. So we would love to brainstorm with you and see what we can do to partner for sure.
Absolutely.
So, and Lori, before tonight's meeting, I was speaking with James about having the Creole Language Resource Center to try to partner with some of our nonprofits here so that we can identify the people who are not getting the message with a language barrier.
Yeah, and I've already reached out to Kim Bush too and talked to her a little bit especially with the ARP funding that's out there. And the whole point is collaboration. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's not our wheelhouse, so to speak, but we're going to be the conduit. So I'd really like to learn more about what you're doing and see what we can do to partner.
Absolutely.
We'll get Kim to come over too.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
No, just thank you for everything you're doing. Looking forward to working with you more.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next announcement is the receipt of the budget award from the Government Finance Officers Association.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mara Frederickson, Director of Financial Services. I'd like to announce that the City of Boynton received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the Government Finance Officers Association for the fiscal year 2021. This award is the highest form of recognition of governmental budgeting. It represents a reflection of commitment of our governing body to meet the highest principles of government budgeting. In order to receive this award, our team has to satisfy the nationally recognized guidelines for effective budgeting, such as being not only a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. The document itself is graded by a panel of members who rate proficient or above in all of the 4 categories and 14 other mandatory criteria. I would personally like to acknowledge the Financial Services Department team that really puts a year-round effort into accomplishing this task. Mr. Tony Davidson, our budget manager, and Mr. Fabio Baca, our accountant. While you may only see them one time a year, these two do work to assist not only the departments in staying within their budget and reviewing it monthly, but throughout the budget process, they're reviewing our strategic plan, forecasting into the next few years, outlining performance metrics, and making sure that our budget book is not only just about the numbers, but is that a guide to really help us align our budget book with the city's goals. I can't thank them enough, and I appreciate them as part of our team.
Thank you.
Tony's working on the budget year round, even though it seems like we go through the torture only that short period of time during the year. He and Fabio do it the entire year and do a great job. Thank you.
And then also I want to get some information from the MLK committee. I know that we have an event at the end of this month. Is there any other opportunity for volunteering?
Eleanor's on the meeting, Mayor. I know they were planning to have a committee member announce it on the 17th, but I'm sure she can. We always need volunteers.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I ask, is if we can do a call for volunteers.
Would you like Eleanor to talk a little bit about the event?
Yes, please.
I know you're out in virtual land somewhere, Eleanor.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm unmuted. If you could unmute me.
We hear you.
Okay, perfect. This is Eleanor Crusoe, Marketing and Events Director. Yes, we do have an announcement by the committee next week, excuse me, on the 24th, to announce what's happening at the event. We are more than happy to accept any volunteers that we can. The committee met last week and went over the site, and if there are those that are interested, we could utilize some help with the children's area, the entertainment, the food vendors, and one more thing I'm not remembering right now. But I certainly will put that out on our newsletter as well as on our social media and get that out to our community. So I appreciate the mayor bringing that up this week so we can get some more volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no further announcements, we will move on to public audience. Individual speakers will be limited to a 3-minute presentation. Please state your name and address for the record. For the people in the audience, if they'd like to come up to the podium, and John, I see that you have the ability to raise hands or ask questions for our virtual attendees.
Yes, Mayor, those options have been enabled. And as a reminder for participants in the GoToWebinar, you can request to speak by clicking on the raise hand option and will be unmuted at the appropriate time. Or you can type your question into the question section of the interface, and that question will also be addressed at the appropriate time.
Mr. Mayor, council members, first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to have a couple of minutes of your time. The reason I'm here, I'm going to be short and sweet about it. I'm the commander. My name is Larry Blocker of the Boynton Beach VFW Post PFC Michael J. Metcalf VFW Post 5335. We're located right off of on 21st Northeast 21st Avenue off of Gateway. The reason I'm here is we are in the process of getting ready to do a lot of upgrades for our building and our property, but we have noticed over the last several years it's been a problem with that particular street. It's not an alley, it actually is a street. The road is in very bad disrepair to the point where it is basically now an alley. There's parking on there that really needs to be addressed. People are parking in areas that are blocking the street. People are leaving large trucks that some of the businesses have that are over there, which are causing congestion on the street, both day and night. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic as well as vehicle traffic. A lot of vehicles are picking up nails and screws, getting flats, people with bicycles having the same problem. We're also noticing, and we've been actually gone out and we've picked up some, we're noticing a lot of needles and other things that are out there because at our end of the street, our area and the two businesses across from us do a wonderful job at keeping their areas neat, clean, and their trash well maintained. When you go past our facility, you've got businesses that have dumpsters that are way too small. The trash overflows, it's on the ground, it doesn't get picked up. It's become a dumping area as well for mattresses and every kind of throwaway that you can possibly imagine, which is causing a problem for both pedestrian and vehicular traffic. It really needs, the street really needs to be properly maintained and a concerted effort made to clean it up. We also have a very severe drug problem at the left side, well, from the tracks at the far end of the street, there seems to be quite a bit of drug traffic going on, both day and night. People get stopped, you want to buy something, people are stopping because they are looking for something. We'd like to make the posts available for the police department to use our facilities because I have 24/7 cameras I installed 3 years ago. And
please continue.
Okay, 3 years ago, so that if need be, we can turn the recording systems on for them to pull the information back up. I'd like to make the parking lot available for them to be able to have a place to be able to securely sit down, do their paperwork, whatever they need to do. If the facility is open, our facilities are there for them, whether it's to use the restrooms, they need something to drink, Tuesday through Friday, if they happen to be there, come on in, lunch is on us. We have lunch every Tuesday through Friday now. But the bottom line is, we are part of the community and we are an open post. It's not just for the VFW members and their families, it's for the community. And we're very, very lucky and fortunate. We have a lot of community members that do come in, enjoy our activities and participate and volunteer, even though they're not members, in helping out. If there's anything that we can do, we'll do it. I'm getting of course, COVID has messed everybody up, but I'm getting the post back up, visible, and I want to get it very, very involved with the community and what goes on here in Boynton Beach. There's probably a lot more I can say. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. That's the basics of it. I just ask, please help us get that area cleaned back up, make it secure, and make it Boynton Beach happy that that street is set up and looking good. It's people live there and they travel through there. I'd like to make it a safe place. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to our next speaker, this is also in our CRA district. And so if we have the ability to have our neighborhood officer program go there as well. Larry, so there's Adam in the back row. If you speak with him, he'll get you some more information. He can be a point of contact. One of the things that I'm looking at the street, it doesn't seem that any of the dumpsters have enclosures. So are they grandfathered in to not have enclosures at that location? I'm getting a nod head from our engineer. Does that apply to new businesses or just existing businesses?
Existing? Gary?
Oh, Gary, you can't speak from there.
Hello, Mayor. Gary Denmeyer, Interim Public Works Director. And yes, those businesses have been there a while, and so that preceded the rule.
Is it possible that we require them not to be on the edge of the road, that they are next to the building?
Well, they need the service, and they've had it in the location that it is. What we need to do is talk to the businesses and make sure that they try to upsize their dumpsters. The hard part is convincing them that they need the service when it's obvious.
So if it ever overflows, then it's possible to let them know of a fine, or?
Well, what I'll do is I'll work with Adam's team, and then we'll see what we can do to confront them.
Yeah, this is a recurring problem in this area. I know, gosh, we've been dealing with it for quite some time. I've actually dealt with the condos on the western end with drug issues, and I think that's third right there, Gary. Is that third by the convenience store?
I think it is, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. PD is well aware of it. And there's, I think, with restrictions, and is that an actual road or is it an alley?
No, it's a road.
So I think the businesses have nowhere else to put their dumpsters, and that's where it's kind of one of those, there's almost no solution in terms of making them move the dumpsters. But right. I know from code perspective, Adam, they've been dealing with them for quite some time and trying to keep it looking nicer. So sure. We'll put some extra attention there and see what we can come up with. So yeah, it's a constant, a constant problem.
They're actually in the street now.
Yeah.
So
our truck has to get down there to be able to actually access them and dump them.
Right. Well, it's hard to get in there at a 90-degree angle. And so that's why they pull them off the wall a little bit. And then the cars park back there, and sometimes they're in the way. So there's a number of issues that we work around.
All right. Thank you. Yes, next speaker.
Good evening. I'm Alan Roth, Director of Sponsorship with Roots and Wings.
and I'm here tonight we're looking to do an event at the Arts and Cultural Center. I've been in contact with Lori and Candace, trying to solidify a date in the month of August, as well as see if we can get some help from the city to help us with the facility. We honor teachers in all Boca Del Rey and Boynton Beach, but we're looking to do an event to honor the teachers through our awards program Above and Beyond, which we honor teachers in the classrooms. So we're just looking for a little help to, one, get a date through the city and help us with the facility, because we have about 200 teachers plus, and we're looking for that.
I'm Ted Hoskinson. I've met several of you before. I'm the founder of Roots and Wings. We expanded our program from Delray Beach, where it initially started 5 years ago. We now honor 252 teachers in 18 schools, mostly Title I schools, mostly elementary schools. We do 6 schools in Boynton Beach now. And we were able to solidify a relationship with the city of Delray Beach, who helped us with honoring the teachers there. And that kind of got us to the point. You know, the teachers this last year have been in a difficult position because of all the COVID and everything else. And we just wanted to, every time we get a chance, we want to honor them and tell them how important they are. And so we worked with the city of Delray Beach to help us fund this presentation, which we normally do at the end of the year for lots of areas, but we could only do it one area at a time because of COVID. So we've now coming up here. I sent Stephen a note, and Stephen connected us to try and put a program together we're happy to try to do the food, and we're happy to try to coordinate with the city, but we need, you know, we can't spend $2,000-3,000 on an event to just honor these teachers just here. So we were trying to get either a free facility or, you know, have the city help us with the funding, and some, just like they did in Delray Beach. So it would be a coordinated program. And I don't know whether there are funds available, but you never know unless you ask. So
I did talk to Sean at the Arts and Cultural Center, and we was notified that there is a $260 an hour rate plus a $35 an hour rate for someone of staff that has to be there. So basically close to $300 an hour. We're looking to do something between 3 and 4 hours to honor the teachers in the community of Boynton Beach.
We do have the lead teacher on this board, so do you have anything to say?
I would say submit some sort of documentation to indicate total costs, because I don't want to set a precedent where people come in to ask to use the facility for free, which we're setting rates at. But I think if there was a dollar figure associated with your request, itemized by what you're either not able to pay or what you're requesting the city pay, that would paint a clear picture about, you know, what is possible.
we can tell you what we did with Delray, and that was that the Delray Beach paid $1,800 and we paid $1,800. They paid for the facility and they gave us $900 towards food. And that was pretty much the same as would be here with $900 for the facility. And then we paid for all the other half the food, because we had 200 people, and we paid for all the sodas, the beer, the wine.
Plus, we also took care of the table settings with the tablecloth centerpieces and everything that goes with it.
So I mean, it wasn't a one-sided deal. It wasn't like we were looking for participation, basically.
Gotcha. So here's another recommendation I would make too. Send me an email and give me your contact information. I know I've got it somewhere in past emails, but refresh my memory. And in my capacity as president of the teachers union, we might be able, if you're interested, to work with you to assist with that as well.
That's great.
You know, I know that the city, you know, gave, what is it, 25,000 or to the Education Foundation for the students to help with the Wi-Fi access.
I believe it was 75, man.
75,000. And so the way that I see it is that I don't want to say that we can't match what Delray matched. And if we have any of that, any other discretionary funding available to match what Delray matched, I think I'd be in favor of that as well.
We had spoken to Ted and had encouraged him to come to the meeting to talk to the commission about any possible use of community support funds that might be good to support this.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner Katz.
Is this something that if the city were able to assist you with, you would be willing to make it an annual event so that it's not just a one-off?
Absolutely.
So that
We've done the events in previous years. It was just now we're in Boynton Beach. And so the most important thing, as you probably know, is to honor teachers and to make sure that they understand how special they are. Our above and beyond award, so you understand them, is that the entire school, so at Forest Park or at Cross Point, what happens is we send to every teacher there, because we have the list of teachers, we send every teacher the chance to nominate other teachers, to nominate their peers for this award. And they nominate them based on 10 criteria. The answers of whoever's nominated are sent then to the principal of the school, and the principal and their administrative team picks the winners. So we don't pick the winners, and we honor 14 people every year, 6 teachers and 1 staff member each half of the year. And then Stephen went to one of those presentations. So we walk into the classroom when we can. We couldn't do that this year, except at Freedom Shores. And in front of the kids, we award the award. Well, if you want to see a teacher cry, you just let them hear what their students say when you say, tell me something about your teacher that makes her special. Tell me something about your teacher that makes him special. And they say, oh, she's nice. She doesn't get mad when I make a mistake. Watch the tears roll down their eyes. And we hand them a bag that has, Alan goes out, he's our director of sponsorship. He goes out and he collects gift cards, a free year's worth of deliveries from delivery dudes. $25 from the wine room, $25 from Five Guys. It's $1,200 worth of gift cards and things inside of a bag that we hand to the teacher. So now they can go out in the community. So this isn't a fly-by-night. You know, we've honored 1,200 teachers since we started.
Would the event in Boynton Beach be exclusive to teachers in schools in Boynton Beach, or
Only the teachers in Boynton Beach.
Matter of fact, at our event in Delray, we had the mayor and the assistant mayor, so we're more than happy to honor and show all of you, and you're more than welcome to come and participate, because this is your town, and we want the teachers to see you're as proud as we are, and it's just a win-win for everybody.
Thank you.
And like part of the things, I know that we have the Florida textile contract that does make donations to the partners with the city so that we can make donations to nonprofits. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I already gave out my community support funds for this year. And so you need to tell me a little bit sooner.
How do we get his information?
So I don't know how to proceed really, but I'm happy to do whatever is necessary because I think it's important for the teachers.
So the mayor referenced an item that is on the agenda in a couple minutes that might allow for available funds to be discussed at that time. So if you just hang out, there might be a possibility.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak?
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm returning back from the last meeting. I'm Sarah Parrish, and I spoke to you guys about my neighborhood where they're running stop signs and speeding through the neighborhood. I named it as HOTC. You guys named it as something different, and mine says House on the Corner. So again, I went around and I collected from Southwest 14th Avenue and Southwest 1st Street through Southwest 9th Avenue and Southwest 2nd Street, every house that's on the corner, signatures that agreeing that something needs to be done in our neighborhood for this. I did get a chance to speak with Mr. Dalmeyer today, and we went over some things about the engineering of things that you guys are trying to come up with for our neighborhood. He gave me a various of ideas from him from his perspective. I gave him some from mine. So I'm just returning my second sheet to you guys, and I will continue to get signatures until we get something done, because it's gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. We were speaking about roundabouts in the corner. He was talking about that. He was speaking about speed bumps. A lot of the older folks were indicating that they didn't quite care for the speed bumps, but something needs to be done, because the back street over near the school, Forest Park, they're using that from one of the signees here, Mr. David Clauses. He stated that they use that back street as a drag street. They race up and down that street during the evening. So I just want to bring again that to you guys' attention, and I'm still working towards trying to get something done. Some of the neighborhoods residents say, "Oh, we've been fighting that for years," but I'm not going to stop, because something is going to happen to somebody's child going down that street, and they don't have the right coverage there, and it's really sad and it's scary. And when that car came across my front lawn and sat right across my door, that was it for me. So I'm just presenting this. I don't know who I can give this to.
And Sarah, I do want to thank you again for coming here, getting the signatures. This is something that does take some time in the sense that we need to do the different studies. Driving in the historic neighborhoods of West Palm Beach and Lake Worth, what they do is they put a tree in the road with a speed bump so that it narrows the road, so people have to slow down, because otherwise they're going to hit the tree at their own fault. And so that's something that hopefully we can put in, because this is a historic neighborhood. These homes are more than 30, 40 years old. And that's something that we will hopefully, with the infrastructure bill that may get passed in Congress, we can have that sort of funding to help with the dangerous residential roads.
Okay. Now, wouldn't a tree would be more dangerous as it comes to our plumbing, as far as the trees start to grow, roots start to run through the neighborhood, roads start to crack from roots? Would that doesn't sound like the very
So there's lots of different types of trees, and so we would plant one appropriately.
So roundabouts wouldn't be a good idea in our neighborhood?
If it is determined that fits the situation, and then you might put a tree in the middle there as well. The thing is, we don't want to take anyone's home in order to get enough space for a roundabout. So there's a lot of different mechanisms that are available that we are moving forward with our Drive Safe Boynton program. And are we having a community reach out regarding Drive Safe Boynton?
I don't believe that's specifically planned, but I know as we come up with the problem areas, part of Gary's approach is to meet, and I think PD obviously, was anyone from PD, Gary, in the meeting with y'all? Because I think what they'll do is then try to get community buy-in when they start coming up with solutions. So it's specific to each problem area versus just an overall outreach, because you'll have 20,000 people say we all need speed bumps, and so we handle it on the complaint basis and project basis. So I think that's where we've started.
No, that's exactly right. So when we started with Drive Safe Boynton, and I don't know that Ms. Parrish and I have talked specifically about Drive Safe Boynton. I've mentioned it to her, but we have a website that has all the different tools that we have in our tool chest regarding, whether it's a speed hump, a raised intersection. And so there are different things that we're considering. On the north half of Forest Park, that area, we've got some temporary traffic calming measures going in that we're using to test in the area. And while that doesn't provide immediate relief to Ms. Parrish, we do have some things that we're going to look at and help her. And the nice thing about Drive Safe Boynton, it's one of those programs where I work with her and I fold her and her constituents or her neighbors into the program, so they have input as to what we're doing. And that way it's, you know, they like it, they get a chance to suggest adjustments to it. So it's a wonderful program, and I look forward to working with her and her neighbors just a little bit more closely.
Okay.
And the great thing about her collecting signatures is she also gets phone numbers and email addresses, and it makes it so much easier to contact everybody and bring them together into one group and come to.
Haven't on that sheet yet, but when I start, yeah, that's what I'll be asking for next time. Yes.
Be best of friends when we're done.
Yes, we are.
So yeah, it seems that the city does have an application through the Drive Safe Boynton that where I guess that's something that I guess we want to inform, whether it's a YouTube video of how to fill it out or something. But there's all this information that I was unaware of, that you have a 7-step process to get people in our community informed of this program so that we can create the triage and we can start allocating funding, because the way the funding works, it's a 5-year improvement plan. And it's kind of like, well, what do you mean it's 5 years? I need something now. It's kind of like, well, 5 years ago, there was this other problem that we're only solving now. So that's something that we are going to help to promote to our residents if they want to make a difference in the city-owned streets, to fill out these forms so that we are on notice.
Okay, is there any forms that can be given to me so as I am out, I can pass out, or this is something you're going to do through the mail?
So Ms. Parrish, what will happen is Paula in our office will give you a call tomorrow or send you an email, because I got your email.
Okay.
And then we'll give you a link, and that has the application you can download. And then it'll have blanks for you to fill in for the names, the addresses, and the contact information.
Okay.
And then starting that process, then we'll come out and we'll do a traffic study, and we'll get traffic counts, some of which we may have in that area. And then just let me warn you, is this program started probably about 2 months ago, and we've already got like 9 people or 9 neighborhoods that are actively involved in it.
Okay.
So staff, right now we have 1 engineering staff, and so it's taken a little while to address everybody, but we're definitely paying attention. We know that there's interest in it, and we'll be very timely as best we can anyway.
Okay. All right.
You have us the original document and you have a copy, or is that a
No,
copy?
I actually need a copy. I didn't get a chance to make a copy of this one as well as the one from the last time, but if I can get a copy of those and that, yeah.
This one?
Right, and if I can
This
get a
is your
copy of
original?
both, that's for just 2 Saturdays ago, because I didn't go this Saturday because I had a funeral service at 10.
Yeah,
But
it's
that
dated
was
July 24th.
Yeah, the 29th. So that's when I went out then. So this Saturday, hopefully I can go out again. But I gave you one before when I first came
Right, we
in.
have that.
And then this one, I just need a copy of those 2. So I can keep a record of things, yeah. And I can go back through the neighborhood with that list that they did sign, and we can go ahead and get them registered with the program.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
just 2 things. So one first is to Gary. It's not that I disagree that, there are 9 other neighborhoods, and I'm not trying to say that, the other neighborhoods aren't facing some of these issues, but I think it's also a matter of we have to prioritize perhaps some neighborhoods that have been experiencing some of these things for extended periods of time. In addition to that, also considering the surrounding environments in terms of this neighborhood. It's again right next to Woolbright and Seacrest, which is one of our busiest intersections, and there is constant speeding issues and constant things like that. So I'm saying in terms of that list of neighborhoods that we're addressing, let's make sure we're prioritizing, or if we have an ability to prioritize the neighborhoods that perhaps need some of these measures placed in sooner than later. We are accounting for that. The second thing I want to mention is that we have our chief of police in the back, Miss Parrish, and I hope you become best friends with him too. Yes, there he is. And especially when you're telling me that drag racing is happening there in the back of that neighborhood right next to a school. I know it would be in non-school hours, but there are still young children and there are no sidewalks in that community. So that
Exactly.
means people are walking in the street when these potential drag races are happening. So please talk to our chief and let's perhaps set up some operations that could curtail some of these activities that are happening in the community. So again, thank you for being diligent on this and being persistent. I don't see you as, being a pain at all. If anything, I thank you for being on this because it is important. And it's something that I've been fighting for since I've been up here to help ensure that Forest Park has a better and safer community. We have done things. I'm not saying that we haven't. We've definitely done things. We've included swales. We've, improved the different driving conditions in the community, but there's still more to be done clearly from what you're telling me here. So the work continues and thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a general question for Gary. Gary, you and I talked about this several months ago, and you basically answered part of the question, but you were going to implement different methodologies around the city as a test case to kind of see what would be the best fit for the problem that's being incurred in different parts of the city. Can you give a little more status on where did that program stand, or you need more time, or what's going on there with that idea that you had?
Yes, sir. We have a PO that was just issued last week where we're going to start our contractor on putting in some temporary measures in the Forest Park neighborhood on the northern end of the Forest Park neighborhood. And what we have is 16 locations and 4 different type of traffic calming methods that are going to be installed on a temporary basis. And the idea there is within the next 3 months after they're installed, see how they're operating and see what's making them successful or what's making them unsuccessful. And then that way we can find more applications for them. And in the meantime, on Hoadley Road, we tried something there. So we're just trying different methods, cheap methods to see if, a cheap, and by cheap, I mean at least less expensive fix works better in certain situations. And so we are trying some things trial and error. We are practicing engineering, if you will. And we're having some success with some methods, and we're learning about which ones don't work on other occasions. But we're definitely on top of this issue. This has been a problem or an opportunity for us to really reach out and meet citizens with current needs. And we also implemented the very first Drive Safe Boynton project on Southwest 27th Avenue. We put in some speed bumps on a road where there were no sidewalks. They didn't qualify for traffic calming, and it's been a good success there. And so we feel like it's going to be successful in other places as well. And this is going to be a good test case also.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Gary. And to Sarah, I just want you to know that you see we are working on the problem, and we will be working with you continuously until something is done that's safe for your neighborhood as well as other neighborhoods. So thank you very much for sticking to the task there, and we'll get there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. John, do you see anyone online with a hand raised or asking questions?
Mayor Grant, no, I do not at this time.
Okay, is there anyone else here for public audience? Seeing none, we'll move on to administrative. Proposed resolution 21-089, authorizing the reinstatement of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Proposed resolution 21-090, pursuant to State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program, appoint a City of Boynton Beach elected official to local Affordable Housing Advisory Committee.
Mayor, I'd like to volunteer for that.
Okay.
So moved.
Mayor, how many members will we have on that committee?
So the committee has, I think, 11 spots available. I'll read them out for you. Citizen actively engaged in residential home building, citizen actively engaged in banking mortgage industry, citizen that is representative of those areas of labor actively engaged in affordable home building, citizen actively engaged as an advocate for low-income person, citizen actively engaged as a for-profit provider of affordable housing, citizen actively engaged as a not-for-profit provider of affordable housing, citizen actively engaged as a real estate professional, citizen actively serving on the local planning agency, a city commissioner, citizen who represents employers within the city of Boynton Beach, citizen who represents essential services personnel. And I was informed that the citizen does not need to be a resident of Boynton Beach.
Okay. I my feeling is that I think I worked on the original housing authority many moons ago, and I don't think having two commissioners would be the way to go. But I would like to be Commissioner Romulus' backup if she ever can't make it for whatever reason. She can, notify me and I'll go in her place. But I will keep track of what's going on. So I guess I'm saying I like to be a substitute. Is that the proper
I
word?
believe the proper term is alternate. And do we have that in our,
Alternate.
yeah, the committee documents to have alternates? And if not, can we amend it to have alternates? Or does the state prohibit that?
There's no prohibition in this statute, but likewise, there's no language that authorizes it. I think you could go ahead and do it for now, and we'll figure out how to do it and make sure that it doesn't conflict with any legal requirements.
So let's plan to have alternates. And if we can get an advisory opinion from the Attorney General to see if that violates having an alternate similar to the way that we
Okay.
have one at the MPO, we'll remove the alternates.
Good.
Amend my motion to include Vice Mayor Hay as the alternate.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. And so this will go through the clerk as an announcement for advisory board positions. And so let's, based upon our discussion today, let's have the 22 positions available with one regular and one alternate for each class. And so let's say someone does essential services personnel and works as an advocate for low-income persons, that they can do checks that apply. And that way we can hopefully fill this, because we do need a minimum of 6 people at the meeting in order to have a quorum. Is that correct, Jim?
That's right. And the statute is very specific about those positions as you read to the commission and to the public.
And next we have advisory board appointments. Our first is an alternate to the Art Advisory Board. Commissioner Katz has the nomination.
Second, Ronald Debris III.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. We have 2 regular and 2 alternate positions available for the Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Education and Youth Advisory Board. Our first is Commissioner Romulus with 1 regular position. And I'll ask for clarification from the clerk for the parentheses, only qualifies for alternate member.
Correct. They do not qualify as student members that are vacant at the moment. So if Mr. Frando Patterson is appointed, moved from an alternate to a regular member, that would create a second alternate member vacancy.
But does James Hubbard or Tara Nicole Rhodes qualify for a regular member?
They qualify only for alternate member positions. The only person who qualifies for a regular well, any of them can be a regular member if you want to go
Yes,
that route.
I do believe
Right. Technically, normally the alternate moves to a regular member if they requested that first, but it's totally up to the commission.
So I do want to clarify the agenda backup that all three applicants qualify for the regular position. However, if Frando Patterson gets moved up from alternate to regular, there are 2 spots available for the alternate position, which Commissioner Katz has.
So Mayor, I will nominate Frando Patterson to the regular position on the Education and Youth Advisory Board.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. And
Aye.
so, Crystal, does that mean we now have 2 alternate positions available?
Correct.
Do we have to, can we nominate both of those applicants to the 2 alternate positions?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. We have 1 regular and 1 alternate position available on the Historic Resources Preservation Board, and 1 alternate available on the Library Board, 1 regular and 2 alternate positions available on the Recreation Parks Board, and 1 regular position available on the Senior Advisory Board.
Mayor,
Yes.
do we have to make a separate motion for the second member since
I asked the clerk and she said it was okay to nominate them both.
so the nomination worked for both to fulfill the alternate position? I just want to confirm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, it's
thank
fine.
you. Okay.
All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. I'd like to pull item 6A. Would anyone like to else pull another item on the consent agenda? We do have a presentation for 6D if the commission would so like to hear it.
I'm okay.
All right. So for item 6A, it is the piggybacks. And one of the issues is the Florida Textile Agreement. However, this is not the original agreement that we signed so many years ago. Is that correct, Lori?
This is a renewal, a 5-year renewal of the agreement, and my computer's not working. Was it an amended agreement or?
I think we lowered the rates at the
Yeah,
request.
I think that, right. And so it's as amended. It's a 5-year renewal. The company has been, I think they have 10 bins out there. Thank you, Mara.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mara Frederickson, Director of Financial Services. The original agreement was for $100,000. We amended the agreement last year in June. They agreed to pay $31,000 in the amended agreement in June, and they've paid an additional $20,000. They're paying $166 per bin right now for 10 bins, and they have the ability to have 15 bins. So it could be $25,000 a year revenue generating if they add the 5 bins.
So the original price per bin was what?
That I don't have.
And do we need to renew this before next meeting? Well, the question,
Hiring?
you know, can we,
August currently, so no, I mean,
okay. I'll request tabling, because, yeah, last time we put this out for RFP, there was multiple bidders. And so I want to make sure that we're getting the best deal that we can. Yes.
So I had a different idea. I wouldn't support going back out to RFP just because I think that we've established a relationship and we need to build on that. What I would request though is to go back to the pre-COVID rates of the original agreement, because that was the premise of the request for the reduction was COVID, I think, you know, and a difficulty placing bins. But I think that at the very least, the difficulty placing bins, I think, has been addressed. And COVID hopefully will be addressed shortly in full. So I don't support the discount beyond maybe another 6 months to a year, but in the 3-year extension, I would want to see the regular rates resume. Personally, these are my views. In that second and third year, I don't want to give a discount in perpetuity under the guise of having lowered it because of COVID.
So what does that mean regarding the renewal?
we would have to take it back to the vendor to see if they're in agreement with it, and then bring it back to you.
Okay, and Jim, do we need a motion?
You do need a motion for that, yes.
I would offer a motion to table and put forth I don't know if it's a counter, or if they requested the extension, I guess it's a counter. And again, if anyone wants to weigh in, because these are just my views, that no more than 1 more year at the current rate, and then the subsequent 2 years of the contract would return to the previous rate before it had been lowered.
I believe it was a 5-year renewal though. So from years 2 through 5.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. And so we do have $20,000, Mara said. And so I would like to nominate or move a request for a motion to match what Delray spent for Roots and Wings for the $1,800. But, you know, that's kind of into city services and facilities from that account that the city has to the city for those services.
So moved.
I would support that. Second.
All right, seeing no further discussion. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Mayor.
Yes.
And on that same note, in reference to the accumulated funds, if the board was willing to entertain in a meeting in the next month or two, I would like to request that the Boynton Beach Rugby Club come in and give a brief presentation about recruitment events that they would be willing to hold in Boynton Beach, specifically at the Hester Center or any other appropriate place to try to recruit some of our youth in the city. I have $2,000 of my support funds, which I intend to provide them by the end of the fiscal year, but I would also request $2,000 from the textile funds, which would lead to a total of $4,000 specifically to be earmarked for recruitment events in the city to try to get more of our youth. And again, just to jog everyone's memory, the Boynton Beach Bulldogs Rugby Football Club is a nonprofit. Not a single person associated with the club draws any sort of compensation. 100% of the money that they are able to raise goes towards paying dues for the students and children who participate, helping them buy equipment, etc. And I got 1 year left up here. I've been supporting them for a number of years. Rugby is an amazing sport for youth and adults. And I think that if there was some funding to put on some clinics and advertise them in the community, that we would see an uptick in what is already solid participation because the club is associated with South Tech Academy. I just want to try in my last year to get more kids involved because it's it's just a great endeavor in general, and it's also a great opportunity as far as going to college and playing at the collegiate level. So I'm not requesting the money at this time, but just to put on a future agenda, a presentation from the Boynton Beach Rugby Football Club to detail potential recruitment events in the city.
I would say yes, in the sense that when we have your community support forum in with the city, that we have the ability to have them come there. I do think that we do need to have a discussion regarding that discretionary funding from the Florida Textile, because I also received a request from, or I'm not going to get the name right, a female soccer club that's also a nonprofit that wants to work with the city to provide free soccer skills and team in the city of Boynton Beach. So that's something that I think we need to have at next meeting's discussion. How do we want to spend that money? Because I don't know, Lori, you haven't put that money towards anything for next fiscal year. Is that correct?
It goes into miscellaneous revenues, Mayor. At this point, it's not a dedicated or restricted revenue.
So not to go too much into other miscellaneous revenues, if we can get a number of the Florida textiles for October 1st, and so that this commission is able to allocate those funds, rather than just accumulating them for the next fiscal year.
Yeah, they're not being accumulated. They go into our regular revenues, and what is not spent during the budget year goes back into the unappropriated fund balance. So it's not an account sitting there collecting. It's just mixed with all of our regular revenues. So if you want to parcel something out, Mara, that would be.
So, well, I don't think the money is spent. I think it was restricted to go to nonprofits and not to be spent on general funding.
Well, we can pull that out. We need to set a policy for that and how you want to spend that. We haven't formally done that. So yes, we'll make those funds available, but we need to determine how you want to disperse.
Okay, so.
Right.
Yeah, originally you guys didn't make a decision as to how you wanted to disperse them. So we haven't yet. So right now, Lori's right. They're sitting in the general fund and going back to fund balance at the moment. I did look up, by the way, the original contract was 2,000 per bin or 100,000 per year, whichever was greater. So.
And they're currently paying $166 per bin, which is like, I'm not quick with the math, but.
Like less than 10. Right. So they're paying 20,000 per year right now for the 10 bins. So it's either 100,000 or 2,000 per bin.
Okay, thank you.
We'll prepare an agenda item for you to have the discussion on managing the revenues from that specific resource. And then do you want your community support funds and invite the rugby group for the next meeting, or perhaps September 8th?
I'll probably put that on in September just to give time, because I know the school year's starting and many of the coaches are teachers. So
you'll make the contact with them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we'll align with community support fund item.
Thank you. And seeing no request, may I have a motion to approve, I guess, the remainder of the 1-year extensions for bids under 100,000.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. May I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving forward to consider consent bids and purchases over 100,000. Would anyone like to pull any of these items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Public hearing, nothing. City Manager's Report, Development Director Adam Temple will provide the commission with an update on the county-wide building recertification program that Boynton Beach as well as PBC municipalities are working to develop with Palm Beach County government.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, City staff, members of the public. Adam Temple, Development Director for the City of Boynton Beach. So the City Manager and I discussed bringing forth this item to walk the City Commission and members of the public through the process that's taken place in light of the recent Surfside tragedy on June 24th. Immediately after that tragic tower collapse, discussion began both locally and nationally about building recertification programs and inspections. Quite a bit has already occurred locally in Palm Beach County, and we wanted to let you know, like I said earlier, what is going on at the county level. So what's a lot that's been said following that collapse on building recertification programs. So the state of Florida does not have a current city recertification inspection program. Palm Beach County doesn't currently have a building recertification program. However, Broward and Miami-Dade counties do have a building recertification program. Miami-Dade implemented theirs in the mid 70s following a federal building collapse. Their program currently includes all buildings that are 2,000 square feet or greater that are not single family homes and duplexes. That's an important distinction. Many people think that Miami-Dade County program is a high-rise recertification program, and it is not. Includes all buildings greater than 2,000 square feet. Broward County's adopted theirs in 2006. Theirs includes all structures that aren't single family homes or duplexes that are 3,500 square feet or greater. Right, so that their program includes quite a few structures as well. The county has, in the days that followed the collapse, has taken a leadership position on this subject, similar to Broward and Miami-Dade counties. On July 1st, the League of Cities coordinated a building officials meeting in collaboration with Palm Beach County. An overwhelming 39 building officials from the various cities were represented. The consensus was to move forward with developing a county-wide uniform model recertification program. The consensus was also that 40 years was an interval that was too great. On July 6th, the county coordinated an industry stakeholder meeting, which included local architects association, Associated General Contractors, Associated Builders and Contractors, Gold Coast Builders Association, Florida Structural Engineers Association, to name a few. And again, their consensus following that meeting was 40 years was too long of an interval. On July 9th, the League of Cities coordinated another meeting, which included building officials and fire marshals to include other technical professionals. A working group at that meeting was established and to draft model language. And I'm pleased that Mr. Kuntzman, the city's building official, is a part of that technical working group. They discussed performing inspections utilizing technical threshold inspectors and not city staff, utilizing form-based reporting similar to what you find in Dade and Broward County. And considerations were for the age, location, and proximity to the coast. On July 19th, there was a working group. Their considerations were for the square footage requirements that would potentially be included in a Palm Beach County wide program. In non-technical terms, if a structure is tall and holds a lot of people, it will likely be included in the Palm Beach County program. They're currently looking at square footage of similar to the Broward model of 3,500 square feet. It will include threshold buildings greater than 3 stories and or 50 feet in height. And they're discussing utilizing landmarks such as I-95 to separate the distance requirement from the coast. So there'll be different standards, unlike what's currently in Broward and Miami-Dade, where you have a 40-year blanket. Depending on your proximity to the coast, you will have a shorter reinspection period if you're further east compared to versus if your structures are west. Some of the other considerations that we're following are statewide building code implementations, international code council discussions, potential changes in Florida condominium law. We're also discussing transparency, how these recertifications are going to be placed on the website so that members of the public know when their buildings will be up for recertification or potential buyers would be aware. Utilizing local construction boards versus special magistrates for enforcement, timeframes for compliance, and costs. In summary, this has been a collaborative effort by all the Palm Beach County agencies. They're meeting frequently, twice a week for that matter, and they're including various stakeholders, which, for when you're developing a policy, they're checking off all the boxes, getting a lot of various input from a lot of different industries and stakeholders. So the next time that I'll be before you, I will definitely have a very detailed presentation included in the package. We will have a policy recommendation for the City Commission on building recertifications applicable to Boynton Beach, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So my big question is that I would assume that the Florida legislature is going to create their own rules as well. And so Boynton Beach doesn't have many high rises or mid rises east that were built before 2000 east of Federal Highway. We have multiple condos that are 4 stories or less. Does the city, and I know that I think it was Snug Harbor who had to redo their balconies, and we had some issues. And so my question ends up being is that what does the city do when an association needs to redo an exterior part of the building on their own volition?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Mayor.
So for example, if a condo association says, hey, we need to redo our balconies because it doesn't look like they're up, how does the city's inspection follow through with the contractors doing the right thing and the engineers and all the building codes that are needed?
It depends. So if there's balconies that require repair and a licensed professional, it's under the supervision of a licensed professional, they would submit for building permits. Those plans would be reviewed. The job would be inspected. Depending on if it's a threshold, there could be a special inspector involved that the owner would hire to inspect the job.
Thank you.
And so the last thing, if there's no other questions, that I want to make sure that it's clear to the public, is that although the city doesn't currently have a building recertification program, the city does have an unsafe structure process. If there's unsafe structure or any conditions, the city already does have a remedy to see those cases through to enforce the needed repairs.
So let's say a condo owner thinks that the exterior of their building is unsafe, they can report to the city building department for an inspection to see if the building is safe or unsafe.
Yes, sir. They could contact the building department at 561-742-6350. Absolutely.
Okay. And so one of the things, I don't necessarily know if we get quarterly updates or an annual update of, I guess, people saying that, people requesting their inspections of the buildings, because I feel like it's going to go up quite a bit
It has. We get those calls all the time. We have since the tragedy. We did before the tragedy. So, we respond to those as quickly as we can and address them accordingly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner,
Question
I
for
think
Adam.
lost
do you mind waiting?
physical quorum.
Commissioner Romulus had an emergency and had to leave, so we've lost our quorum. The two election items, perhaps we can have a quick special meeting before the CRA meeting next week to get the final readings on those.
You have 3 substantive items left. Ordinance 21024, Resolution 2188, and my request for a closed door session on JKM. If you recess this meeting and resume it before the CRA meeting next week, we could address those 3 items and also provide proper notice. So it will essentially be a special meeting of the commission.
Okay, so the Florida statute does not allow for a meeting to continue if there's not a physical quorum.
You were permitted to conclude the item that you were discussing, but you cannot address any new business.
So if I say so moved, does that encompass everything you just said?
Yes.
So moved.
Can I second that remotely?
All right, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Mayor?
So, yes, Vice Mayor, you have any final comments?
Yeah, I just have one quick question for Adam Temple. Maybe I missed it, I don't know. But you were saying, Adam, that everyone agreed that 40 years was too long. Did you agree on what that length of time should be?
I don't want to commit myself to a particular commissioner or vice mayor. Sorry, I don't want to commit myself to a particular number, but I would expect. I know the current discussions are 25 years potentially east of I-95 and 35 years for structures west of I-95.
Okay. I can accept that.
And then 10-year recertifications every 10 years after those dates.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, John, because we lost the quorum. I think that's
Okay, yes.
conclusion for
Thank you, Mayor
tonight's meeting.
Grant. Okay, as a reminder, a recorded version of this session will be posted to the City of Boynton Beach's YouTube channel. Links to that channel are available on the City of Boynton Beach's website at boynton-beach.org. This concludes today's meeting. On behalf of Mayor Grant and all of our elected officials, the city manager and city staff, thank you for attending today's City of Boynton Beach Commission meeting. Be safe and have a great evening.
Yeah, sure.